to Study Time, a televised home learning program produced by Rwanda Education Board.
Hello students, my name is Benon. Welcome to TV learning program. I will be taking Senior 2 students in biology. Before we start our lesson, let us make a quick reminder of the previous lesson. In the previous lesson, we also discussed Unit 2, which is the Introduction to Environmental Biology. We were able to define the term ecology, which is the scientific study of the relationships between organisms and the environment. We also saw other key terms like community, where different organisms of different species live in the same habitat. We talked about the term population, which means organisms of the same species living in the same habitat. We talked about the term habitat, which means the place where organisms live. We talked about the term herbivore, which means organisms that depend on plants for food. We gave example of sheep, goats, and cows. We talked about omnivore, which means the animal that eats both plants and meat. We gave example of humans. We talked about carnivore, which means animals that eat only meat. We gave example of leopard and lion. We also discussed in details food web and food chain, where we saw different feeding levels, and we used the term trophic level. We saw that a food chain and food web are different, whereby a food chain shows the linear nutritional sequence of organisms, while a food web shows many food chains. We said it is a complex food chain. Our lesson now is going to be about different organisms and non-living organisms in the environment. And the lesson is biotic and abiotic factors. Before we continue, let us first make a quick review of the term we saw in the previous lesson, which is ecosystem. How did we define the term ecosystem? We said it is a biological community where living organisms interact with non-living materials. Ecosystem is a biological community where living organisms interact with non-living organisms. In this definition, there are two important things you have to know. One of them is living organism. Another one is non-living organism. This is very important. If it is clear, let's continue. Here, I have different papers with different words. We are going to discuss them. This is temperature. I will be asking different questions, and we give views. 1, can temperature need food? If it is possible, you say yes. If it is not possible, you say no. Temperature doesn't need food, which means it's no. Can temperature reproduce? No. Can temperature grow? No. Can temperature respire? No. Can temperature feel the surrounding environment? No. Can temperature excrete? No. Let us have two parts. We have part A and then part B. So let us put part temperature on part A, because with part A, we say no. I get another word which means plant. Students, remember, in the environment, we have different plants. I'm going to choose one of them. You can also choose one, and you see if it gives a yes or no. Let me choose hibiscus plant. Does it need food? Yes. Does it reproduce? Yes. Can it grow? Yes. Can it respire? Yes. Can it feel the environment, whether it is hot or cold? Yes. Can it excrete? That means removing excess or unneeded waste materials? Yes. Part B is yes, and here we have plant. We have salinity. This is about salt. You can choose salt, like sodium chloride. Can sodium chloride need food? No. Can it reproduce? No. Can it grow? No. Can it respire? No. Can it feel the environment, whether hot or cold? No. Can it eliminate waste materials? No. We put it in part A. We get another word, which is humidity. Students, do you understand what the term humidity means? Humidity means the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. Can humidity need food? No. Can it reproduce? No. Can it grow? No. Can it respire? No. Can it feel the environment? No. Can it eliminate waste products? No. We put it on part A, where we saw the answer as no. Students, we pick another word, which is animal. I'm going to pick one of the animals, because remember, we have very many animals. You can also choose one, and then you see if it gives you a yes or no. I'm choosing a cow. Can a cow need food? Yes, cows need food. Can cows reproduce? Yes, cows reproduce. and produce calves. Can cows grow? Yes, they grow. Can cows respire? Yes, they respire because they need energy. Why do cows need energy? Because they move from one place to another. Because they grow. Because some of their cells die and need to be replaced by others. They have organs, and those organs function. So for that case, they need energy. That's why we say cows can respire. Can cows feel or sense the environment? Yes. When the environment is hot, cows will know. When the environment is cold, cows will know. Can cows excrete? Yes, they do. That's why we see they produce cow dung. That's why we see them producing urine, which means cows eliminate waste products. So animals will be put in part B. Students, I pick another term, wind. What does the term wind mean? Wind means moving air. Does wind need food? No. Does it reproduce? No. Can wind grow? No. Can wind respire? No. Can wind feel whether the environment is hot or cold? No. Can wind excrete or eliminate waste products? No. Which means I put wind in part A because we have seen it has no answers. Students, I have bacteria. Remember, we have different types and examples of bacteria. One of them is cyanobacteria. Can bacteria need food? Yes, bacteria need food. Can bacteria reproduce? Yes, they reproduce. Can bacteria grow? Yes, they grow. Can they respire? That means respiration. Yes, they need energy because they perform different activities. Can they feel the environment? Yes, they do. They can sense whether the environment is hot or cold, whether it is safe or unsafe for them. Do they excrete or eliminate waste products? Yes, they do, which means we put them in part B. I have the word light. Can light need food? No. The answer is no. Can light reproduce? No. Can light grow? No. Can light respire? No. Can it feel the environment? No. Can it eliminate waste products? No. Which means I put light here. Students, I have two letters here. One is P. Another one is H. What does it mean? pH means potential of hydrogen. We normally talk about it when we need to know if a substance is acidic or alkaline. Remember, it has the pH scale from 1 to 7, then from 7 to 14. From this point, 7, this is the neutral point. And then from 1 up to 6.9, this one is acid. From 7.1 up to 14, this one is alkaline. Acidity increases from 6.9 to 1, which means a substance which has a pH of 1 is more acidic than a substance which has a pH of 5. At 0.7, that's where a substance is neutral, neither acidic nor basic. It's neutral. Then from 7.1 to 14, a substance is alkaline. And alkalinity increases from 7.1 up to 14, which means a substance which has a pH of 11 is more alkaline than a substance which has the pH of 9. So this is potential of hydrogen. Can potential of hydrogen need food? No. Does it reproduce? No. Can it grow? No. Can it respire? Does it need energy, potential of hydrogen? No. Does it fill the environment, whether hot or cold? No. Can it eliminate waste products? No. Which means we put pH here. Then we have another part, students, which is alkaline, which is fungi, sorry. Who can give us one example of fungi? Very good example is mushroom. Mushrooms are fungi. Do they need food? Yes. Do they reproduce? Yes. Can they grow? Yes. Can they respire? Yes, because they need energy. Can they fill the environment, whether hot or cold? Yes. Can they eliminate waste products? Yes, they do, which means we put fungi here. Now, students, we have finished grouping our terms. We have part A. We also have part B. Let us come back to our terms. When we talk about biotic factors, biotic factor, it means living organisms in the environment. Living organisms in the environment. When we talk about abiotic factors, we mean non-living organisms in the environment. What does it mean? Abiotic factors are living organisms in the environment we see. Abiotic factors are non-living organisms in the environment we see. Remember, when you were studying living organisms, you said that living organisms feed, they grow, they reproduce, they move from one place to another, they respire, and they excrete. That's what makes them different from non-living organisms, which cannot do that. So those living organisms are the ones we call biotic. Non-living organisms are the ones we call abiotic. Now, let us go back to our groups. When you see group B, we have there plants, we have animals, we have bacteria and fungi. These ones can grow, they can feed, they respire, they excrete, and they are able to sense the environment. Sometimes we ask ourselves a very big question. Do plants move? Plants may not move from one place to another, but as we know, plants grow. Plants shake a bit when wind blows. That means branches of trees move and leaves can move. Part A, we have temperature, salinity, humidity, wind, light, and pH. These are non-living because they don't grow, they don't feed, they don't excrete, and they don't sense the environment, plus other factors. Now, these are what we have talked about when we said that the ecosystem has got living and non-living organisms. The living organisms we were talking about are plants, animals, bacteria, and fungi. Non-living organisms we were talking about are temperature, salinity, humidity, wind, light, and pH. The interaction we talked about, interact, is very important. How? We are going to see how these non-living materials or factors are very important to living organisms. Take an example. Let us talk about temperature. It is non-living, but very important to organisms. How? Remember, humans have got enzymes in their body. Enzymes are catalysts, biological catalysts. They are temperature sensitive. When temperature is within good ranges, enzymes work effectively. When temperature is high, enzymes are denatured and our body cannot function normally. Remember, there are some animals which live in environments which are hot, like deserts. We can give example of a camel. We can also give an example of a kangaroo rat. Camel and kangaroo rat. These live in temperatures which are very high. Can say 40 degrees Celsius and above. We also have other animals which live in cold environments. We can give example of a polar bear, seal, and penguin. These live in environments which are cold, meaning temperature is a very important factor to living organisms. Salinity. This is about solute concentration. Solute concentration. We can even talk about salt. Remember, we have different water bodies. Let us say oceans, seas, and lakes. Oceans and seas have high solute concentration. There are some animals which live there, and they are adapted to live there. Then, we also have other animals which live in fresh water bodies. There is no high solute concentration. Salt is less. And we have animals which are adapted to live there. Animals which live in fresh water bodies cannot survive in salt water bodies, which means salinity is another factor which affects organisms. Even we have plants which are adapted to live in salt environment and cannot survive where the salt is less. Humidity, the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. This is another important factor. Remember, if the word transpiration, losing water vapor through leaves. When the amount of humidity is high, water vapor in the atmosphere, the rate of transpiration will be low. When humidity is low, the rate of transpiration will be high, meaning this is another factor. Wind or moving air is another factor which affects transpiration. When wind is high, the rate of transpiration will also be high. When moving air is low, the rate of transpiration will be low. Light is another factor. Remember, plants need light to make their own food. Do you remember that process? It's the process of photosynthesis. pH, potential of hydrogen. Remember, we said in our body we have enzymes. Enzymes are pH sensitive. Some enzymes work in acidic environment, other enzymes work in alkaline environment. Meaning, these factors affect organisms, which we call interaction between living and non-living organisms. Students, thank you very much for your active participation, following all the steps. Now, I have your homework here, which you're going to do. Do it nicely. If you have followed the lesson, the homework will be easy for you. Thank you very much. We meet next time. Or, to make it clear, let me go through the questions. Explain ways in which non-living things are important to living organisms. How are non-living factors or abiotic factors important to biotic factors? Give examples of non-living things that you interact with in the environment. The ones which are non-living and you normally need them, you use them. Differentiate between biotic and abiotic factors. Thank you very much. Before we wind up, I can show you the reference where you can get more exercises to test your understanding. You can read Biology and Health Sciences Students' book, Senior 2. We meet next time.